Welcome everybody, and thank you very much for joining the webinar today. This is an introduction to the US Antarctic Program's Data Center, the USAP DC. You can see our website address on the page that is here. I'm Kirsty Tinto, and I'm going to be giving you an overview of the data center and the services that we provide for about the first half hour of the hour that we have here. During that time, you've all come in automatically muted. If you have questions that come up while I'm talking, if you could put them in the chat, then we'll collect them and we'll be able to address them in the second half hour of the meeting, which will be a Q&A. We're recording this part of the meeting, and the presentation is going to be posted on our website later in the week and distributed to everybody who registered. But the Q&A, we're going to turn off the recording for that and just be able to have a conversation about any specific issues or questions that you might have. So if you do need anything, the chat's being monitored, and you can drop notes into that, but I'm not going to be able to see it on my screen as I go here. So I can begin by introducing you to the team who are lurking in the background of this webinar. So the USAP DC, it's quite a small unit. We're funded by the NSF, and we're based at Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory at Columbia University. You've got Frank Nietzsche, me, Kirsty Tinto, Isabel Cordero, and Alex Strong. If you are interacting with the data center or writing to info@usapdc.org, which is our contact address, it's one of these people who will be writing to you. They are all also online here and will be available to answer any questions that are more within their wheelhouses as we come into the second half. But this is us. We are your friends, and you're always very welcome to reach out with any questions that you have about the data center. I wanted to give an overview of what we do, what we're for. Our main purpose, and I'll give you some entertainment in the bottom there. Our main purpose is to support the obligations that you have as a grant holder from the National Science Foundation to share data and make data safe, so that we can get the absolute maximum amount of science and understanding out of the observations and findings that you generate in your research. So we support the obligations that come through being a holder of an NSF award. We support the preservation of the unique observations and findings that we make in our research. That's so that the work that you do can be reproduced to show that it is good science, and also to enable reuse of data sets in ways that weren't imagined perhaps when they were originally collected. We maintain the links between different data sets that were collected under the same projects, and that helps with the longevity of data sets and the kind of interdisciplinary and interactive science that can come from large projects. Now, the pictures that I have on this slide just show some of the kinds of work that we're supporting. So you often think of Antarctic research as fieldwork and standing somewhere snowy in a big coat. We're working to support everything that is supported, that is NSF funded and under the US program. And so that includes fieldwork, it includes computer models, and the video that I keep showing here is an MRI of a fish that was collected from somewhere in the Southern Ocean. So there's a really broad span of disciplines that are represented in the Antarctic program, and we want to serve all of the different kinds of data products that they produce, which sometimes are unique of themselves, not just the data, but the kind of data that are being recovered. We're also here to support the full life cycle of those data products, which I've described with these three boxes of our main functions. So at the start of any inquiry, you want to know what is already known about this area. And so we have a data search function so that you can find data sets that you can work on without having to go out and do new fieldwork, where you can see what's already known. Eventually, you will have new questions, and so you'll write new proposals You'll get to register the projects that come from your successful proposals at the data center. And that's how we show the world what you're doing and help your data products and your ideas to be findable to the broader community. We can archive data, or we can point to data that's archived in other places once you're generating new findings from your research. And then generating new findings generates new questions, and you go around the circle again to get back into the data search and start over again. So I start with how we can support you in searching for the data that we have linked through USAP DC. There's a couple of ways that you can search the website. You can use a text-based search, where you might just have free text, something that's in the title, or one of the keywords, or something that that the data would be about. You can also look for specific science programs. If you know the award number of a project that you're interested in, you can look under that. Or if you know one of the PIs, you can search under person. So there's a lot of different ways that you can pull up records of projects or data sets that are that have their metadata linked through here. Another way of searching for the data is spatially through this map function. So if there's a particular place that you are interested in understanding, you can find out all the wealth of data sets that are available in that area. The circles here generally show the centroid of a study area. So they're maybe not pinpoints of an individual place, but they show the central part of where data were collected from. We also have information from external data holders here. So there's the rock repository, and there are ocean cores and seismic lines that can be represented here. So it's not just the holdings of USAP DC that you'll see, but you can find out what's been done through other archives as well. And we make our data visible to them as well. So once your project is registered in here, you will be findable in all sorts of different search engines. I say once your project is registered, and I just want to move you around this cycle to talk about how you will interact with us through the duration of an award. So once you have a project that is just starting up, an award that's been granted, shortly thereafter, you'll get a welcome letter emailed to you from us. This is to introduce you again to the data center and to let you know what you need to do and how you can interact with us from that point on with your award. We get the details from the NSF awards database. So it's coming from us. It's not directly from NSF, but you'll see that your program manager is included on the email. So what we do here is welcome you to the data center and then prompt you to register your project, which you can do as soon as your project is awarded. I'm going to show you that in a moment, but it's a really easy process where a lot of information is pre-populated into our system from the awards database. We'd like the lead PI to take responsibility for doing that. Where there's a project that's a collaborative research project with lots of different institutions, the lead institution should be the one who registers the project. You can then connect all the different award numbers and everybody will have a chance to interact with your project page, but we only have one project page for the full collaborative research award. You get to upload the data management plan that we will talk about later, but that was a successful part of your proposal. And then you get to add extra things as the project goes on. Towards the end of your project, 3 months before it is due to end, we'll reach out to you again and give you time to say, hey, that project that you had is closing out now. Are the products there? Think about what you need to do in order to get good data sets uploaded onto your page for the final wrap up of this incredibly successful project that we hope you will have had. A project page looks like this. So you will log in to USAP DC using an ORCID, and then your project will be available in the Submit Projects button at the page. And you will be walked through the steps to make a page like this. It contains everything that somebody would need to know to understand what you're doing in this project. So a title and an abstract, you had that for the proposal, a location map so that you'll show up in that part of our search, a list of the personnel and the different awards that might be involved in it, a link to the Antarctic metadata directory, that's out of date, but it is still called the AMD, and then any data sets that you create and publications. Of course, when you first register the project, you won't have any data sets yet because you're doing it as soon as you get your award. So there's an edit button up here that will allow you to update things about the project as it progresses. So adding data sets as they come along. Another element of this that I really appreciate is that we look through, we have an API that looks through Crossref. So if you use your NSF award number in your acknowledgements of any paper that's written from this award, it will automatically be identified and linked in with your project. So as time progresses, you can see the output of the award growing on the page. You can hit the edit button to add publications yourself, but they will automatically grow on the project page. The next step once you have a project is to deposit a data set. And the dataset page is going to look very similar. So from that project page, there was a list of links down at the bottom that showed different datasets that were held in different archives. So you don't have to register your data. You don't have to archive your data with us. If there's an appropriate disciplinary archive where your sort of data go to, maybe it's seismic data, maybe it's genetic data, whatever it might be, if there's a place where the different people who work in your field will find data, then you're absolutely welcome to put it there. And then you will just link in to the project page where those data are, and it will show up in this section of the project page. So some of these are external to USAP DC. You can send any kind of data set to us, though. We're going to talk about data obligations later, and you do need to put all of your data in a publicly accessible archive, and we are a good choice. If there isn't a disciplinary archive, that would be a better choice. So you will submit, if you do submit data to us, the project page, the data page will look like this. Again, you'll have a location that you can find. You'll have all the things that will make those data findable and citable and useful to future users of them. So we will issue a DOI for the data set, and there will be a formal data citation that people can use when they do reuse your data. There's a license during the drop-down menus of you entering this data set into the data center. You can choose the default license, which is CC BY, or you can choose something else if it's more appropriate for your data. We link everything by award number. And so we'll link to the award so that it's easy to see all the products that have come from that award. We can reversion data sets as they come in. So if there was something that you discovered after you had submitted the original data set, it's possible to give us version 2, and we will version it up on the data set. And then we link back to the project. So somebody might have found your data set through the search function, but they might be interested to know, well, why were they doing that in the first place, and what other data had come through, and they'll be able to link back into that. Importantly, here at the bottom, there's a README file, which is where you will put all the information that somebody would need in order to be able to use these data in the future, and then a download button that allows people to directly access the data through the archive. If you have a large data set, and large data sets start at 1 gigabyte and go a long way up from there, and then we probably won't have a direct download button on here, and we'll ask people to reach out to the data center to get those data. We have a number of ways that we'll make those available. Usually we'll put them up on a site. It could be a Google Drive, it could be Box, it could be an FTP, whatever works for the person who needs the data. If it's a giant data set, we'll mail them hard drives. But yeah, if there are large data sets, they're accessible within about a day. If they're smaller data sets, then they're accessible instantaneously.